Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing. Welcome, thank you so very much for joining me. If you watched my Joy of Blue video, you have seen that I made a journal cover out of a pool liner. I think it was the sample in the store. It had a tag on it. It was cut in a rectangle. There were others too, so I think they were, like the sample where you choose the one you want. Welcome, welcome. Not a tutorial, but I show you real life crafting and what I make. I bought this at Scraps KC in Kansas City, and when I saw these, journal cover was on my brain. And what I'm doing is I'm using alcohol to clean off the stickiness from the sticker and from something else. Then there's another edge with holes punched in it. And I thought, well, I don't think I need that. So this is kind of how I was envisioning it. And I loved that edge. It had like a shell kind of pattern that I didn't like. I just liked the fun blue. And then I thought about trimming it. Right now I'm thinking, should I make it a pocket? It's longer than a 9x12 envelope, which is a pretty typical journal size. But I was thinking that I had a cool opportunity because it was that long and it has that neat edge. Then I was trying to figure out what I wanted to make the cover out of, because a paper envelope or a paper layer didn't seem thick enough, and chipboard seemed too structured for this fun, neat cover. And I've seen Gail Agostinelli and I think some other people make journal covers with mailing things like this, packing envelopes. You know me, I didn't watch exactly. I don't know exactly how they did it. There was sewing machine involved in many of them, but I didn't think that my sewing machine would love sewing pool liner. I think a small embellishment would be one thing, but going all the way around, I just wasn't sure about that. Then I thought about folding over the edges. That's what I was checking. What if I mitered the corners and folded it? But gluing a pool liner is a little tricky. We'll talk more about that later. So I'm really glad I didn't try and do that, because I think I would have had troubles. So then I settled on one layer of a mailing envelope. I thought 2 would be a little chunky, and since I wasn't sure how I was going to clean up the edges, I didn't want to do that. So I have one layer. I'm laying it out and checking the measurements and trying to make sure, because I've never done this before. I've never seen anybody do it. Clearly, we're just making this up as we go. And I speed things up so you don't have to watch me fiddle and think and tap my fingers. And so I have my cutter off to the right, and I'm just retrimming that mailing envelope, because if it's too big, I don't think I really have the skills to straight edge it afterwards. I know there's a ton of quilters and you take your fancy knife or your roller thing and you cut it, and I'm just not that great at that. Then I went through my fabric scraps, and I don't have a lot that are this big, but I found that one. I thought the other one I looked at was too geometric and too conservative for such a wild pattern. I was trying to decide if I was going to chicken out and use the fabric on the outside. And then I decided no. So I took that fabric out in the garage and I sprayed it and stuck it to that liner. Like, we're doing this. Let's try it. And then I am trimming the corners so I can fold them over. I think that's like when you miter them, right? And I'm not great at this. My angles aren't always right. You'll see I have a couple of patches of white, but this side wouldn't show in my current plan at this moment. So I wasn't too careful and worried about it. Plus, I can spend all day trying to get them perfect, and I won't. Now we start to have glue problems. My Fabri-Tac, and that's why I faded out, my Fabri-Tac is cut super fine. The tip, I probably should have just chopped it bigger so more would come out, because I use it for lace and that kind of stuff. And I was thinking, well, I don't need that much of it. I'm going to use spray adhesive, so I didn't just chop the end open. And then my 3-in-1 beacons is really old. Don't judge this glue based on my struggle. It's dried in the bottle. I think that bottle is easily I don't think it's 5 years old, but it's old. And it's been low for a while, so it's kind of dried in there. So what I'm doing is checking, okay, when I flip it over, have I gotten the fabric too tight or too loose? Is it still the same size as the pool liner? And is it square? Sorry about sticking my head in there. And you can see that corner over there isn't mitered perfectly. The white shows a little, but the idea is to get the fabric to meet but not be lumpy. Then I lay it out and I'm still thinking, okay, is this going to work? And I'm trying to figure out where to put the glue and what's my strategy. Can I glue it in the house? Do I need to glue it? Then I'm thinking I might chicken out and put the fabric showing more, but the corners aren't mitered. What I was thinking I could do is I could use the pool liner on the inside, see? And I'm testing it, and then I decide, nope, we're doing a pool liner journal cover. Whether it works or not, I wanted to try it. And now it feels about right. Everything's laying out nice. And again, I'm still trying to decide. And then that's what we're going with. That would be a cute pocket, wouldn't it? But I think the flap on the outside is super cute. If you haven't seen the Joy of Blue video, you're going to want to watch that before or after, because I'm not going to do a final flip through in this video. I get it all tested. I'm kind of testing size. All right. I think this is going to work. And the fabric is staying nicely to the mailing envelope using Fabri-Tac. That worked really well. I wasn't having any troubles. So then I take all the stuff and I take the Loctite spray adhesive out to the garage. And I've sprayed them both. Now in the directions it says let them dry for about a minute. Maybe I should have waited longer. Spray adhesive would not hold my mailing envelope to my pool liner and the fabric layer. So keep that in mind. If you want to glue things to a pool liner, you need like a Beacon's 3-in-1, I don't know, Gorilla Glue. You need something major. The spray adhesive, it's like removable. I can still lift it up. Like right then I was terrified and I had no idea. But the next morning when I came back, I could lift up the edges. Like when I went to pick up the journal, it moved. Anywhere that I didn't go back for Fabri-Tac. I picked up a bottle of 3-in-1 today and I'm going to check all the edges. Overall, I love it. I'm not sorry I did it. The spray adhesive works great for fabric onto chipboard and fabric onto cereal boxes. Spray adhesive, probably not great for the planet, but my friend had it. She was moving, so I kept it from a landfill. But it does work really good for a lot of things. So here, I'm fighting with my glue bottles. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back in now after it's been days, check the edges and fix them with a brand new bottle of 3-in-1. Pool liner it's a weird substance to work with. It's like self-healing and it moves. It's just strange, but super fun. And it feels kind of wonderful. A little on the velvety side, not like cheap plastic because it's so rubbery and smooth. Then this is where it gets crazy. I'm going through my friend Noni's trash bin and I made another journal before this that you may have seen with a pink cover. Not me at all. And then I decided to pick out colors that I could use in this book and work into it and layer blue on top of it. So it would be a wonderful blue journal, but the base pages wouldn't be. Many times I start with blue pattern papers and blue papers, and then my blues don't quite match or I try a different thing. So I thought, how fun would it be to see if I could use some of this paper and then turn it into a blue beauty. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just taking these papers and my paper cutter's off to the right. Sorry. So that's what I'm doing. I'm chopping out the crinkles, the die cuts. This was when Noni bought paper in a lot from garage sales and she had just gotten some electronic cutting machines and she was kind of still learning like what she liked and what made sense. So this paper is for the most part very low quality. Some of it probably isn't even 65 pound. Which is great because you can put a lot of pages in a journal and fatten things up. Leaves you a lot of room to work with, but probably wasn't a joy to work with on her Silhouette or Scan and Cut. They're not all the same height. That's fine too. Just put them in there and move them around. The ones that were too wide, I am folding over or tearing down depending on how I like it. So close, almost. That black one's a little wide and not enough to really tear or fold, so I just cut it down. Then we'll shove it back in there. It's coming together. Like, I think this is going to work. At this point in my brain, I'm still wondering a little, right? Sorry, I forgot to turn on the camera when I started the mixed media goodness. I got out the stencil, the butterfly stencil that's just a cutie, and some of the Dilutions paints. You know, these are old because they're in the old bottles. They need to be used up. And a hotel room key, and I just started playing. I was going to use the paste up in the right-hand corner, the Cosmic Shimmer Glitter Kiss Frosty Sparkle Kiss. I don't know what they're called. Anyway, it was dry. So I put some water in it, closed it back up. Maybe it'll work another day. If you have pastes and stuff, be sure you're using them. I'm just looking around playing with stencils. Now here we are. We're sitting on the couch. I am a real world crafter. I'm watching TV. I've reclined in my chair. I've got the Joy of Blue bin. That's what's in front of me. And I've sorted it into categories. Then I've got this bowl over here of embellishments that I know is going to be wonderful goodness. And you're going to see some of this stuff in the book. And I have sorted it into piles a little bit. And then that was it. I went to bed after that, probably glued a bunch of stuff together. Now it's the next day and all that paint is dry and I'm going to layer on this. But before I do, I want some more and I don't want to wait for paint. So I'm using Distress Oxide ink. It's much faster and I loved the really light blue on the black and the gray. It's pretty cool. That was a fun mix that I hadn't really tried before, is taking this really light ink and putting it on dark papers. So watch it with the stars and then you'll see it on black. I love that. Really, really fun. So just getting your stuff out. And this is how I do it. I literally just reach for something. Did one of you give me this stencil? Was it in my box from Echo Park? I don't know, but it's amazing. And I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have bought it, but I love it. Absolutely love it. And that light Distress Oxide ink on black paper is great. Then again, Mary maybe put this in one of her boxes. I don't know where I got this. One of you definitely gave this to me. I did the Y and then realized I needed to wait for my gel pen to dry or I was going to mess it up. But in the end, it says Joy. This is not a tutorial on how to make a journal. Remember, I have a beginning journal maker series. If you want a tutorial, you should probably make yourself a template in case something goes wrong. I just kind of measured and stabbed. Then I did what I tell you over and over not to do. Before you poke the holes, thread your needle. So I had to go find my needle and thread, but I put the owl in there to hold the place. And the first hole went great. I went through, came out the plastic. It was fine. The second one, pool liner, is self-healing. Like the hole was just, it kind of vanished and I had to remake it. It was sort of a mess. Then I got that one situated. And what I decided to do was I had only poked 2 of the holes. So I tightened everything up and straightened it and then poked the third one. Because I had papers of all different sizes and the weird cover to deal with, I don't know. I stopped after 2 and thought, I'm not using the template. This isn't very smart. The waxed linen thread is really easy to work with. But again, the pool liner, it kind of grabbed on everything. And see, it's self-healing. So you have to poke your holes a little bit bigger than you would probably to make it easy to do. But I got it, pulled it through. And I am leaning towards the white or the black waxed linen thread on a lot of my projects. I think because I like it with blue and there's an off-white in this multi-pack and a brown and I just use the black. So maybe I'll learn from that and buy black. Then I went through the thing and tightened it up like Pam reminded me to do before. And I'm kind of in love with it at this point. And I thought about putting little Velcro things on the front to hold the flap down. I'm really glad I didn't do that because you want to chunk up your journal and figure out how far the flap's going to go first if you do. There's washi tape sitting there. I decided to add some. This is about all we have for process video. And then if you haven't seen the final, you can watch the Joy of Blue flip through. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you got some ideas from this. Bye-bye.